Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to talk about cedars. So for some of our crops like arugula, we use the Johnny's pinpoint cedar, which will give us 4 compact rows. We can actually put 8 rows per bed, and that works really well. For larger seeding, we've been doing some hand seeding and really been looking at Jang cedars, but they're extremely expensive. They're about $500 for a 1-row cedar. So Earthway makes one, and so you get a lot of mixed reviews online about the Earthways. They're significantly less expensive, and certainly there's some trade-offs with quality of the machinery and the quality of the results. But there are some modifications that can be done that will improve this cedar to perform much better. Not certainly to the performance of the Jangs, but I'm going to step through some of these modifications. This is stuff that you can find out there if you do the research, but I'm going to try to compile it into one video for you today. Also, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe and the notification bell. Feel free to comment, give us some likes. We're trying to grow the channel. We certainly appreciate it. Now let's get into modifying this cedar. So like many of these cedars, it's pretty simple. It's ground drive through a belt. This only has one option, whereas the Jang, you can do all kinds of different configurations on the drive. The plates on this are, they fit in the hopper. They got to go in this way and lock in. The biggest complaint is that these do have some flex to them. This one, not as much. This one is a little more flexy. The same exact plate number, just to different manufacturers, I guess. Maybe an earlier and a later, I don't know. But we picked this one up used. Never been used, actually. And so we were very fortunate there. Paid about $85. It came with 11 of these seed plates. I think they retail for about $165 without the additional plates. And so we're going to talk about how we need to modify this to perform a little better. So on the opposite side, inside the hopper, basically what will happen is this seed plate will go on, and then it just spins. It's got kind of a camber, you can see there, and it'll lock into place. The seeds will come up, they'll be deposited through a hole right here, and they'll drop in, and your little miniature plow or tine or whatever you want to call this will open up the furrow. The seed will drop in right behind it, and then this chain will kind of cover the seed up, and you can adjust the depth of your furrow. I've seen some folks actually modify this with more of a flat piece, almost like a shoe that will come in and give a little more compaction. So the first modification, really the only major modification, is to stiffen up these seed plates. And so what's recommended is a 3-inch PVC end cap. And so what you'll see is when that goes over, then it's going to help put some pressure, a small amount of pressure, and keep this plate from flexing. See how that flexes? And then seeds can't get in behind this and get ground up and get missed and etc. Now, some recommend to take a peanut butter jar lid because it's about the same size, but what you'll actually see is the peanut butter jar lid is just slightly smaller, and it's not quite as stiff, but it would suffice. And so, but you can see it doesn't go as close to the edge of the plate. All right, and so in that case, it will work, but I'm going to use this stiffer PVC end cap. Now, what has to be done is it needs to be cut down because it's going to go in the hopper, and obviously it can't go in the hopper at that size, so you only want it to be about 1 inch, 1 inch. So, and you need to cut it very true and square. So I'm going to use a chop saw, a metal chop saw, because it's got a finer blade and it should make a very smooth cut, and I'll come back and show that. Then a hole needs to be drilled. Now I went overkill, I got too long of a bolt, but I'm going to cut it off. And an eye bolt works good because you've got something to hold on to. It's going to come, and this screw's going to come out, and then this is going to go in, so we'll have to drill a 1/4 inch hole. This is 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch by 20 thread size. And then it'll go in, and then wing nut. So then from the inside, you can take a wing nut and you use it and a couple flat washers, so that either side. And so we're going to make this mod, we'll get it installed and let you see that, and then we're going to talk about some other things that can be done to help improve the performance of this in the field. Now this screw, I don't know if they used Loctite when they put this in, but it was very difficult to get loose. I had taken this off the kickstand to give a little more resistance, but ultimately I had to reach in here and really hold the back side of this assembly by hand and really hand torque on this screw, and finally was able to get it to loosen up. So now, as you can see, with this assembly removed, you also have to drill that 1/4 inch hole through this drive mechanism. So we'll get the drill and the bit set up, and we'll do that, and then we'll also, after we cut this, then we'll drill that center hole through here. Again, it's going to go inside. It will take up some of your seed hopper. I may go less than 1 inch on this. I may go down to maybe a 1/2 inch. Again, it just needs to be able to compress against this, and so this thickness isn't as critical. Your bolt length will matter though, as it has to go through. So since I bought this 5 inch or 4 inch, I think it was, I think some of the instructions online I saw called for like a 2 inch, but then you got to make sure you cut this at 1 inch exactly, so that you have enough thread to be able to mount it inside here, and I'll show that once we get the preparations done. Okay, so we got this ground down, cut it, but it didn't cut true, and so what I found worked best was an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel, and I cut it, and then I just kept working it. It tends to melt the plastic, so you'll have some cleanup to do, and then put it on a piece of sandpaper and did the figure eights to smooth it. So now you know, and we didn't leave enough of a lip, and so unfortunately, as you can see, if you don't leave that lip, it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit on your plate and hold it. Well, my plan B is the peanut butter jar lid, unless I want to go buy another $9 end cap and try again. That's disappointing, but sometimes you have to do trial and error. So we're sacrificing the peanut butter cap, and the nice thing there is all we got to do is drill a hole, and that's it. So we're going to see how that works. So we got the peanut butter cap drilled. Now we're going to drill through the drive mechanism. This worries me. I didn't see anything on the instructions about taking this apart. So I did see where one guy who had done this had broken this, but I think it was is getting it removed, or getting the screw removed. So here we go. Yeah. I've got the wrong kind of bit. I've got these quad edge tips. I need more of a smooth bit, so I'm going to go look for the right bit. So real quickly, this will focus. The difference is these quad bits have, a couple of different cutting edges on them. Yeah, it's not going to focus very well. But so this is just a regular high-speed bit. So only really one leading edge instead of this double. We're going to try it and see if it grabs this plastic. Then I'm going to have to find a way to get this held so it doesn't spin. Yeah, try to hold the drive wheel. Okay, I think that's going to work. I just got to go slow, very little pressure. Sometimes if you run these backwards too, it helps. Well, it went through. Let's take our speed down a little bit. Okay, sorry I had a timer set there. And anyway, we got the hole drilled. Looks like that's going to work fine. So now what we'll do is we will need a washer on this outside. I'm going to have to make a mark and see how far I need to cut this rod off with. So I'm going to have to start with cutting a little bit off and then making another mark. So let me go get this cut off. And so I actually haven't cut any off yet because I needed to run this nut down to where these threads stopped, and then put the washer on, and then insert that. And with that done, you can see the bolt, 4-inch bolt, doesn't protrude that far. I don't know if the smaller length bolt, the threads come further down this shank or not, but at this point I'm not going to need nearly as much cut off as I thought, so it's a good thing I didn't cut that. So now I've put the bolt in, and I've put the peanut butter jar lid on there, and so now I can see about how much I want to cut off. Okay, we got that cut off. Always thread a nut, or in this case the wing nut, on first, cut it off. That way you make sure your threads get dressed back when you back this nut or wing nut off. You'll have a good thread edge there. So we've got the lid already down in there. I'm gonna stick the bolt in, hopefully. And we'll get the wing nut on there. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Smaller hands might help. That is one of the pitfalls. Everything I've read is that it does take up more space in your hopper, and I'm 0 for 2. I'm sure I'll get better at it as time progresses, but right now I'm struggling a little bit. get that wing nut started on that. This bench height's a little awkward too. And over 3. If I don't get it this time, I'm gonna have to do an edit. I'm probably gonna start saying some words that I shouldn't be saying. Yay, success. And then the key is not to over tighten it so that you get good drive on the drive wheel. Also, everything I've read is lubricant. See, I had a little piece of plastic in there from the prior attempt. Is lubricant like a graphite or a talc? Let's see if we can get some light on the subject. There we have it. But you can see the disadvantage is it takes up some of your hopper space. Take this light off so I can use my hand to help get some better light in there. So yeah, it takes up some of your hopper space, but it will stiffen up that plate so that I just don't have enough hands to get this done. The light's not too bad. Without that stiffener, this plate edge can get lifted away from the bin siding and seeds can start to get in there. Then you get all kinds of things that happen that you don't want to have happen. So I hope you found today's video helpful. We're going to go out next and we're going to try out this seeder. We're going to plant some radishes. Some red rover radishes, which are a round radish. We're also going to do some French breakfast radishes. Say that 5 times real fast. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll do another video where we actually show the planter now in operation and provide some feedback and I guess a review on how we think the planter is performing. So stay tuned for that. Join us back here for more information and more videos. Thanks again. Please hit subscribe and help us grow the channel. Thanks so much.